The armed forces of Ukraine are showing not parade ground but real power. Over the past day, there have been more than 200 combat engagements on the front line, with the most occurring in the Kostiantynivka direction, in the areas of Ivanopilia, Ilinivka, and towards Stepanivka. The armed forces of Ukraine stopped the Russians in the Pokrovsk, Slovyansk, Kupiansk, and Pivdeno-Slobozansk directions. And now the story of an FPV drone pilot with the call sign Sudak. What helped him and his fellow soldiers from the 56th Separate Motorized Infantry Mariupol Brigade to enter the top 20 out of 500 units in terms of the number of enemy targets destroyed in July? Ola Kosenko found out.
This is in Bakhmut. Vehicles rarely come to us, so we have to fly to them. Here I found some bugs, targets riding in a car. They hear the drone, so two of them run out, fleeing to the right.
The FPV drone pilot with the call sign Sudak talks about one of his latest catches, a military vehicle in occupied Bakhmut. And he has dozens of similar trophies. In just the last 6 months, he has destroyed 89 occupiers. This, he says, is revenge for the death of a comrade. The Russians killed a dog named Bilo, whom the crew had taken in at their position.
She was so beautiful, so good. A Kabi guided aerial bomb flew in and killed her. They killed the dog. Yeah, I was sad for a whole day. It really brought me to tears.
Sudak has been in the army since the summer of 2022. He joined the ranks as soon as he managed to escape from occupied Kherson. He was an infantryman and has been piloting strike FPV drones for a year and a half now. He destroys enemies both in trenches and when they go on assaults.
Everything is fine, everyone is dying. Now our infantry, when they have assaults, they very rarely know about it.
The second pilot of the crew is a student. His task is to operate the signal repeater, prepare the drones for takeoff, and attach explosives to them. Each mission has its own ammunition loadout.
This is a shaped charge munition specifically designed to destroy armored vehicles. It works by burning right through, well, metal, specifically solid armor plating that is up to 14 millimeters thick.
Every month, Defense Forces pilots compete for the number of hits. In July, the 56th Separate Motorized Infantry Mariupol Brigade entered the top 20 out of nearly 500 units, and the lion's share of enemy hits belongs specifically to Sudak.
It is a deep sense of pride for a colleague, for a true brother in arms. And there is that burning enthusiasm to strike first and, to keep climbing even higher in the overall statistics. We can do it, we want to.
When they say they can do even better. For this, the pilots need more components for drones. And you can help with this by using the QR code you see on the screen. And money. What is missing?
Control stations for FPV drones, antennas for FPV drones are always needed. Whatever gets destroyed is what is needed.
While Sudak is preparing for another run to the position, he doesn't waste any time. He practices new maneuvers to hit even more targets. Because he admits only a pilot who constantly flies and loves their work can be successful.
You have to feel like you are the drone. When I'm flying, I don't think about how I'm controlling it. I think about what I want to do. And this is developed exclusively through practice.
Ola Kosenko, especially for We Ukraine United News Marathon.
It seems the Russians will have to put their Starlink analog on pause. Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed a successful strike on the Progress plant in Samara, a key enterprise of the Russian space industry, where carriers for launching the enemy's military satellites into space were assembled. Our long-range Flamingo missiles found it as far as 900 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. Progress, located on the territory of the Aviation plant, is effectively a single large production complex. Preliminary reports indicate that the Flamingo missiles struck the part of it where the final stages of production take place. This means that not only production facilities could be damaged, but also launch vehicles at various stages of assembly. The president of Ukraine confirmed the strike on the Savasleika airfield, where enemy MiGs, carriers of Kinzhal missiles, are based, as well as on the Ust-Luga oil facility in the Leningrad region. Russia continues to kill Ukrainian children. In Marhanets in the Dnipropetrovsk region, a 3-month-old boy died. Tonight, a Shahed drone hit a high-rise building there. In the residential neighborhood that was under attack, 6 buildings were damaged and 11 people were wounded. In the afternoon, the enemy struck Kryvyi Rih with missiles. There are 2 wounded there. One has multiple injuries, the other has a leg amputation. Medics are currently fighting for his life. After the shelling, power was partially lost in the city. And by noon, the Muscovites had struck another city in the Dnipropetrovsk region, Pavlograd, with guided aerial bombs. There are also 2 victims there. Both have been hospitalized. People in the frontline city of Sumy also know what it's like to live under almost constant shelling. There too, guided aerial bombs arrive almost on schedule. Dozens of Russian drone strikes around the clock burned out gas stations and businesses completely destroyed. Some are recovering after what they've been through, while others are forced to leave their hometown. Take a look at the mood of the people in Sumy.
The owner of a chain of sports clubs in Sumy shows the aftermath of one of the guided aerial bomb strikes.
On one side, the windows are completely blown out. There, I don't know, about 60 or 70 of them, the metal structures and frames that held them are bent. The roof inside, well, the ceiling also around the perimeter of the club, most of it was, let's say, destroyed.
An aerial bomb exploded a few meters from the building. We had to close the club for a couple of days to restore the premises. Instead of panoramic windows, there are now OSB boards. And there aren't many visitors these days, says the owner of the sports club.
When the first guided aerial bomb started back in July, it had already been over a month, yes, since that first one on Shevchenko Street. Well, the number of people decreased, yes. If we take it in percentage terms, we did some assessments, it's about 30%.
And this is the very building where the first guided aerial bombs hit in Sumy. There are still children's toys and flowers at the site. A mother and child, along with 2 other men, died here. After that, aerial bombs have been flying into the city almost daily, almost on schedule, at 3 in the morning, 9 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, and midnight. At these times, the city freezes. Guided aerial bombs on the city. Everyone to the shelters.
You've lived through the day, and thank God for that, my dear.
Mikola, a public transport driver, says that almost every trip is a big risk.
I only hear this signal, guided aerial bombs on the city. In any case, 1 or 2 of them get out. Stop, take me somewhere. Where? I say, should I take you? I'm not taking you anywhere. Do you know what times we are living in? Do you know that 1 air raid alert replaces another for us?
And do you stop the bus when...
Absolutely. I must stop. If there is a shelter nearby, I must stop there. Well, but where is that shelter right now? It might be there, it might exist, but there's no one in charge there.
Sumy's population has dropped significantly, according to local residents.
Many have left, They have left for abroad, they have left for Western Ukraine. A lot, yes, a lot. People are escaping the war.
Some establishments close forever after being damaged. Some are recovering, but businesses have to operate under difficult conditions.
In our shops, the entrepreneur is currently transporting the goods themselves because none of the suppliers are going there. And the minibuses, the girls here are saying, well, when the guided aerial bombs were flying at the city, naturally you couldn't get there. They sat there until 5 o'clock, until traffic opened up again.
The outskirts of the city have been covered with anti-drone nets because besides guided aerial bombs, there is also a constant threat from drones. Fiber optic drones, which are not detected by radar and are therefore harder to shoot down, have started flying in more and more often.
Overall, we are hoping, if you look at it that way, that it's getting closer somehow. Autumn is already here soon, and we hope that our defense forces and the situation in general will get a little better for our region, for our area, and people won't have to leave.
From Sumy, Olya Saborunik, Alexander Oleksienko, we are Ukraine, the United News Marathon.
In the Kyiv region, they said goodbye to 3 members of one family, 5-year-old Dmitrik, his grandmother Halina, and his grandfather Petro. All 3 were killed by Russian drones on August 8th. As many as 5 of them hit this family's house in the village of Pukivka, Brovary district. The couple's son, Alexander, says his parents had been together since the 5th grade. The mother, Halina Kusher, was the principal of the Spassky Lyceum in the capital and dedicated her entire life to teaching children. The father worked as a municipal electric welder. Their middle grandson survived. He is currently in the burn center.
I had just walked up to the window. Literally, like 30 seconds later, the first Shahed flies into the next room where my children, the youngest and the middle one, were sleeping. They were targeting people specifically because the first strike was just on the house and then they went after the people. These drones kept flying until they killed mom and dad.
We just, right now, as they say, it's like we've been orphaned. We don't know what awaits us next, how we will work. It still seems to us that she should walk in, arrive somewhere right now, because we somehow, we can't imagine another leader for us right now. We just can't imagine it.
The Russians have set up a cynical hunt for people in the Zaporizhzhia region. They targeted a car and a combine harvester in a field during the harvest, killing one farmer and wounding another. The Muscovites are literally wiping out the villages of this frontline region. The other day, 5 people were evacuated from there who survived the shelling but lost absolutely everything. Olena Kaptyuk will tell their stories.
The evacuation team is heading to Novoivanivka. This is a village in the Zaporizhzhia region that the enemy is constantly shelling with guided aerial bombs. The locals are already waiting for the police.
And when did this hit you?
It happened just this morning.
They show their destroyed yard and smashed houses. They say half the village is already gone. Guided aerial bombs are destroying house after house.
I didn't even have time to get scared. I reacted in such a way that I just needed to gather my documents where I keep everything. I quickly grabbed a flashlight and got dressed.
They packed everything that survived to take with them. They packed their bags and quickly got into the evacuation vehicle.
All right, that's it. Take care.
All right, take care of yourselves. So when will you be leaving?
I have goats. I haven't sold them yet.
Do you have a lot of goats?
There are 3 goats in total, a large buck and his 3 little ones following behind.
They are staying here until the very end, until enemy bombs destroy their home. Everyone has their own story of how they managed to survive under the merciless strikes.
Grandpa, I just rushed. It was bombing, it was burning there, we were being bombed at night, I ran there barefoot. You behind, the children were behind.
Novoivanivka is completely destroyed. Mostly elderly people remain held here by their livestock. But they still leave when a shell hits their house, the police say.
Some houses are completely destroyed. Unfortunately, some remote locations currently have absolutely no electricity supply at all. We are now heading directly to a nearby transit hub, where all of the affected people will be provided with the appropriate and necessary assistance they require. Further coordination will take place on site.
This time, 5 people were successfully evacuated from Novoivanivka. And the police keep repeating that locals from frontline communities should not delay their departure. In Zaporizhzhia, there are places where they can find shelter. From the Zaporizhzhia region, Olena Kaptyuk, Daria Ziryanova, Ukrainian Marathon, United News.
This night, the enemy once again struck the epicenter construction hypermarket in Zaporizhzhia, damaging warehouses and sales floors. Shelves with merchandise burned to the ground. The fire has already been extinguished. There were no injuries. Russia is betting on destroying our logistics and is effectively striking warehouses, marketplaces, chain supermarkets, and postal operators almost every night. Thousands of tons of goods have burned down, and in some stores, signs have appeared under empty shelves that read, "This product was destroyed by Russia." And what will happen next if the Muscovites intensify their strikes on warehouses? And how will businesses survive? Diana Onipko reports on all of this.
Burnt metal structures, mangled shelving units, and remnants of goods. After the Russian attack, only the frame remained of the large epicenter logistics terminal.
In 2019, this was one of the most technologically advanced logistics centers in Ukraine. It housed, nearly one and a half kilometers of conveyor lines.
Rescuers spent almost 2 days extinguishing the fire. The fire destroyed 240,000 square meters of warehouse space, along with goods and equipment.
The scale is massive. It's destroyed. We used to supply all our shopping centers with products from this logistics center. Products were stored here such as, food items, household chemicals.
The worst thing is that not only the goods were destroyed, but also the production equipment which is installed and is quite high-tech and quite difficult to restore.
And this is far from the only blow to epicenter. Here is one of the latest losses in Zaporizhzhia. On Wednesday night, the Russians directed attack drones at the hypermarket. The entire store was engulfed in flames. Firefighters worked under the constant threat of repeated strikes.
Go to the shelter right now. Go to the shelter right now.
This store cannot be restored. The consequences of such strikes are horrific. These are both lost jobs and colossal losses.
We are only just calculating what these losses are, but they are definitely in the billions and definitely very, very difficult for the company. We have 3 completely destroyed shopping centers just in the last 2 weeks, 2 logistics complexes, and a factory.
And this is already Brovary, a suburb of Kyiv. Here, Russian missiles destroyed the main distribution center of Rozetka, the company's largest logistics complex. More than 100,000 orders pass through it every day.
Rozetka is not just a warehouse and not just Rozetka goods. It is a large marketplace, the largest in Ukraine. We provide the opportunity for more than 50,000 entrepreneurs to work through our platform.
The collapsed roof effectively covered part of the complex, and the metal structures were twisted by the force of the impact. In other sections, the gates were blown out, ramps were damaged, and warehouse premises were mangled. The damages here, according to preliminary estimates, just like at Epicenter, are in the billions.
We cannot yet exactly name these figures, but it's a lot. The biggest losses for our company in the entire period of its existence. We were not a random target, unfortunately.
But part of Russia's terrorist strategy. The enemy is striking our business and logistics and obviously will not stop. The most massive strike was on August 5th. Warehouses, logistics hubs, and production facilities were burning. Chain grocery supermarkets were also affected. After the attack, Prime Minister Serhiy Koretsky held a meeting with business representatives. They discussed how to redirect commodity flows and also how to disperse products. Koretsky instructed the government, the state property fund, and the military to look for reserve premises for storing goods.
Our task is to prevent interruptions in the supply of food, medicine, and other essential goods, primarily for frontline regions. Serhiy Koretsky, Prime Minister of Ukraine.
Ultimately, it is not just about the frontline territories. In recent weeks, shoppers in the capital have also seen the consequences of the strikes on the shelves.
The realities of a modern silpo after missile strikes. There is simply no produce.
Some products have disappeared from stores, particularly in the vegetable and dairy departments. Signs have even appeared in the supermarkets. This product was destroyed by Russia.
Everything is available. I've taken everything I need.
And look down there.
Are you stocking up on groceries, maybe a little bit in advance?
No, well, I have some, but otherwise, no, not really.
There's enough of everything. Why stock up?
Well, the basics are there, but some products are missing. Simply put, oatmeal, buckwheat. That was the case at Silpo. There were no vegetables for a while, but they were delivered today.
So there is no talk of a product shortage, neither now nor in the future. The only thing is that the shelves with dairy and frozen products might be more modest than usual, because these goods require special storage conditions in warehouses, which cannot always be replaced by backup ones. And also, due to logistics complications, some goods may become more expensive. Diana Onipko, Anna Uzvenko, and Valery Ryabchenko, we are Ukraine Marathon. United News.
Be that as it may, we need interceptor missiles for Patriot, as they say yesterday. And in the coming days, Poland may transfer them to us. Warsaw is discussing this with Washington and NATO allies. As Zelensky said, we are asking the states to sell us only 5% of their missiles. That will be enough to survive the winter and save people. And if the Americans sell 10% of their stockpiles, we will be able to stop Russian ballistic attacks. But for now, Trump is refusing. So, aside from those, what other countries can actually help us with interceptors? Yuri Gula will tell us.
Today, practically half the world is competing for Patriot missiles. America is saving them for an operation in Iran. European countries are purchasing them for their own defense, and Asian countries for the event of a possible war. And only for Ukraine is this threat not potential, but real. And the problem is not just that there is a shortage of missiles, but that there are even fewer people willing to share them with Ukraine. Patriot systems are currently defending nearly 24 countries, and most of them are in no hurry to part with their stockpiles, especially after the start of the US operation against Iran, when in just the first month of hostilities, the US military used over 1,000 Patriot and THAAD missiles, making interceptors even more scarce. As Politico writes, there is currently a shortage of specifically PAC-3 and PAC-2 missiles, which are among the few capable of defending Ukraine against Russian ballistic missiles. But manufacturers simply cannot keep up with replenishing these stockpiles, and this is already being openly discussed in the American Congress.
we are already running short on what is needed for our own defense. According to available data, we have used half of our Tomahawks, and our allies in the region have fired 70 to 80% of their Patriot missiles. This is a crisis, and it must end.
However, attempts to increase production are not saving the situation. American factories are working 3 shifts, but even that is not enough to meet global demand. For Ukraine, there is simply no time to wait in line while missiles come off the assembly line. Therefore, Kyiv is asking partners to share some of the interceptors that are already in stock.
This year, I am asking American partners to sell me 5% of the missiles in their stockpiles. If they sell us 5%, we will get through the winter and save people's lives. If they can sell 10%, we will destroy all Russian ballistic missiles.
According to the president, the US and Ukraine have agreed on monthly deliveries of interceptors. He did not specify the quantity, but there are definitely not enough of them yet. Kyiv also does not want to rely solely on foreign stockpiles, so there is also an option to produce Patriot missiles in Ukraine. Washington promised a license back in July, but the matter has hardly moved beyond words so far. And the day before, the American publication Defense News named the reason for this. Citing a Republican representative in Congress, journalists write that American arms manufacturers fear that Ukrainians will learn to make these missiles faster and cheaper and will eventually become competitors to them. Over the years of the full-scale war, the Ukrainian military-industrial complex has gained experience that almost no other country has today. Now Western partners are looking at Ukraine not only as a buyer, but also as an arsenal, a platform for creating cheap and effective weapons. But this is all for the future, and we need interceptors by tomorrow. And according to Politico's assessment, the missiles that partners could share with us are available in the stockpiles of the USA, Germany, and a number of other European countries. The Norwegian Minister of Defense recently said it directly, this cannot go on for long. And he called on all European Union countries to join in. He is primarily hinting at Greece, Spain, and Poland, which, according to sources, have their own stockpiles of Patriot missiles. Recently, there was a debate in Warsaw over whether it was worth giving their Patriots to Ukraine. But the turning point was an incident that occurred at the end of July, when a Russian Kh-101 flew into Polish territory and left a 10-meter crater in a field.
After an armed Russian missile flew into the territory of a NATO state, that is, into our territory, for the first time in history, Minister Kosiniak-Kamys clearly stated, despite all previous political disputes, today he is inclined to transfer more missiles to Ukraine, because it is better for such a missile to be shot down over the territory of Ukraine than over ours.
A decision on a new batch is promised in Warsaw within the next few days. This issue is currently being discussed with NATO allies and the USA. But Polish missiles will not solve the problem. Kyiv is looking for interceptors everywhere they can be found, from the USA to Germany and even in Asia. But the further away from Europe, the more there are not military, but political and legislative obstacles. This primarily concerns Japan and South Korea. They have missiles, but the law does not allow them to arm Ukraine. Kyiv would like to receive air defense systems from Israel as well, and was even ready to buy them, but there too, it has been fruitless so far. It turns out that there are quite a few potential sources of help on the map, but the number of countries ready to give up their missiles is very small. NATO countries have been stockpiling Patriot interceptors for years in case of a major war with Russia. But this war is already ongoing, just on the other side of the borders. And it seems that the realization of this is gradually changing attitudes towards their own stockpiles as well. Poland, it seems, does not mind sharing. Other allies, including the US, are also considering such a possibility. So there is still a chance to cover Ukraine's most critical needs before winter, even if it means having to collect missiles from other countries. From New York, Yuri Hula, We Are Ukraine, Marathon, United News.
Meanwhile, a Ukrainian company will build an ammunition plant in Lithuania. A corresponding agreement has already been concluded between our defense firm and the Lithuanian Ministry of Economy. They plan to start construction in the fall and launch production within a year. At first, the ammunition will be supplied to the armed forces of Ukraine and later to our allies as well. In addition, as part of defense cooperation, the Lithuanians plan to establish the production of Ukrainian drones on their territory as well.